everyone, and thank you for being here today. I do want to acknowledge that we're hosting today's press conference on the unceded territories of the Musqueam, the Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh First Nations, and I do want to thank them for their generosity and their hospitality and the love and care they show this land that we get to live, work, and play on. I also want to acknowledge all of my teammates up here, be it the City of Vancouver, VPD, Vancouver Fire and Rescue, the Vancouver Police Board, and my teammates on council. Now, before we get started, on behalf of everyone standing on stage with me today and everyone who's part of the City of Vancouver family, we do want to extend our condolences once again to the families of the victims, people that were injured, anyone who was at that event. It was a pretty traumatic incident, and we know a lot of people are hurting and are suffering, and we just want to extend our thoughts and our love your way. Now, on April the 26th, our city experienced an unthinkable tragedy, one of the darkest days. In fact, I think it was the darkest day in Vancouver's history. Families and friends came together to celebrate culture and community, and instead they were met with devastation. 11 lives were lost that day, many more injured, and our city was left in mourning. And so in the wake of this tragedy, we knew we had to act. And that's why I immediately called for a joint review by the City of Vancouver and the Vancouver Police Department, not just to understand what happened, but to ask the hard questions, to look at our systems, and to make them stronger. I asked for a preliminary report to be presented within 2 weeks. The report we're releasing today is just a first step, a factual overview of how public outdoor events are planned and permitted in our city, what planning was done ahead of the Lapu Lapu Day celebration, and what changes are already underway to enhance public safety. This review is also about learning and making immediate changes to keep people safe at public outdoor events, whether it's a block party, a parade, or a cultural celebration. Based on the info gathered and reviewed to date, the preliminary report shows that the proper safety processes were followed ahead of the Lapu Lapu Day festival. The event was well organized. All the right steps were taken, including multiple reviews, site walks, and coordination with first responders. But that doesn't mean that those steps were enough. And that's what this moment demands, a rethinking of how we assess risk, how we respond to emerging threats, and how we ensure people, no matter where they are in this city, feel safe gathering in public spaces. One of the most urgent challenges we now face is how to protect people from the growing threat of vehicles being used to cause harm. It's a very deeply unsettling reality, and it's forcing cities around the world to rethink what safety looks like in our streets, at our events, and in the public spaces that we all share. Immediate following the April 26th incident, our team at the City and the Vancouver Police Department quickly reassessed security. That's okay. Reassessed security for the Vancouver BMO Marathon. As a result, 2 additional heavy vehicle barriers and 40 mobile vehicle barriers were deployed to strengthen protection along the route. Similar safety measures were implemented at the BC Buddhist Festival, with more police officers on site and additional bollards installed to protect attendees. These were the first of several immediate changes. Since the incident, the City and the Vancouver Police Department have been working to develop new tools to enhance event assessment to consider gathering size, layout, location, road access, and other emerging risk factors. We're also updating a centralized database to track and monitor risks across all upcoming events, improving coordination between city departments, the Vancouver Police Department, first responders, and event organizers. And to enhance on-the-ground safety, the Vancouver Police Department has invested in new mobile vehicle barriers, which are highly effective tools used in other cities these devices have just arrived, and they can be deployed quickly to prevent vehicle-related incidents, whether accidental or intentional, at public gatherings. We're also working closely with organizers of upcoming events, reassessing safety plans and adapting our responses where needed. As we await the findings of the province's Commission of Inquiry into Community Event Safety, we will review and consider their recommendations into a final comprehensive report this summer. But let me be very clear today. Vancouver is a city built on connection, a city of vibrant neighborhoods, rich cultures, and moments that bring us together. That spirit runs deep in who we are. And while this tragedy has shaken us to our core, we will not let fear define us. We will not let it divide us. We will stand together. We will keep moving forward together, united and unafraid. But we do owe it to everyone. We owe it to those who we've lost. We owe it to every single person who calls Vancouver home to take every step possible to prevent a tragedy like this from ever happening again. And while this is an incredibly painful moment, an incredibly painful point in time for all of us at the City of Vancouver, it's also a moment of learning and for change. And that's the work we have ahead of us, and that's the work we're committed to doing. So thank you very much.
Thanks. We'll take questions. If you can line up at the mic, state your name, outlet. You can do a question and a follow-up. If we have time, we'll do a second round. Thanks. Please direct questions to the mayor, the city manager, or the interim chief of police.
Hi, guys. This is something that came up in the tech briefing. Had you had these vehicle barriers, would you have used them at Lapu Lapu? It sounds like there wasn't anything that gave an indication that this would have been a risk. So obviously hindsight's 20/20, but Chief, is this something you would have deployed?
As one of our members stated at the technical briefing, hindsight is 20/20, and nothing indicated for any change with the organizers from how well this event went the previous year. It was classified as a family-friendly event, and the risk assessment would not have warranted heavy barricades.
So much of this is hindsight is 20/20. How can you go about predicting the unpredictable? How is it possible to ensure safety for large events when something can happen that is almost impossible to predict?
Do you want to start? No.
You can't be in the hearts and minds of every citizen anywhere in the world. We will look forward to seeing the recommendations. We are already working ahead of the recommendations on planning vigilance, and we're going to work hard to ensure every venue is safe, every patio, every through street is safe. And as the mayor said, we're a vibrant, diverse city, connecting neighborhoods, and we're going to ensure public safety for those events and continue to connect the city.
You know, if I can just add to that, you're absolutely right. We cannot predict what's in the minds of every single individual, but we're not using that as an excuse as well. There are things that we can do to react to make this place safer, and that's what we did. And so you can look at what happened. Literally the next morning, there was the Vancouver Sun Run. There was a reassessment there. With the BMO Marathon, there was 2 heavy vehicle barriers and 40 mobile vehicle barriers as well. More policing at the Buddhist Festival. And we will continue to bridge that gap until the report comes out.
Bonjour, Julie Landry, Radio-Canada. With that preliminary report, what are the changes imposed to the organizers of events right now? Immediate changes imposed? Are there any?
Well, on the interim report, there is nothing that will be imposed on us. The final report and the provincial review or commission from the province could impose, and we'll obviously our own city report, the recommendations will take on full value, but nothing has been imposed on us as of yet.
And you said it in the place of there. What has changed for you at the VDP since then that you're self-imposing?
Self-imposing is where, regardless of the cost, if an organizer of a community event feels anxious or nervous and would like presence, we will have presence there. We will support the community and to help us get through this phase. So that's what.
Hi there.
Good morning.
I'm not sure who is best to answer this, but I guess just in terms of increasing security at these events, like, you said that obviously this is a city of connection, we have so many events. How important is it to balance kind of the increase in security, depending on what these reports yield, with making events welcoming? Like, in the past years, there's been criticism that sometimes event security has felt too heavy-handed. So what's being done to kind of make sure you get that balance right?
Do you want me to start or do you? Yeah. I'll let the acting chief talk about the actual security of it, but there has to be a balance. That's the reality. I think we can all agree that, even if it was, operationally and fiscally possible, I don't think we want to live, in, a police state per se, right? It defeats the purpose of what we're trying to achieve here. And we take public safety incredibly seriously. And so the onus is upon us to make sure that we do the right security assessments and, we strike a balance. And, that's what we'll continue to do. But let me be very clear as well. It was the darkest day in Vancouver's history. And I think, the city of Vancouver lost a bit of its innocence on April the 26th. And that's just the new reality. And so we do have to strike a balance where, people can feel safe celebrating festivals and their culture in the city of Vancouver in a safe manner.
Sure. The key word the mayor just used is balance, because 100% you're correct that there are community organizers that do not want a police presence, a heavy police presence. So balance is the key. That technically that could mean anywhere from a wider perimeter. It could mean low visibility police presence. Lots of things where the organizer would be assured their safety without being imposing as a police state kind of feeling to it.
With the rise of the far right, and there's just so much hatred right now towards certain communities, I'm just thinking of the upcoming Pride festivities. I'm curious if police are doing any kind of extra intelligence gathering, or if there'll be any additional kind of security measures for that particular event.
Pride is one of the top 8, 9, 10 events that we deploy very robustly for. I mentioned earlier in another briefing, Visaki's like that, and some of the other bigger parades. So 100% there'll be extra resources, energy put into collecting intel if there's anything indicated that we need to up our resources, which will already be at a very high level.
And Jen, just on that as well, I want to be very, very clear as well. Pride is incredibly important. It's a beautiful community, one full of love, and the last thing they should worry about is, public safety. So I know I speak for all of City Council. We will be there, and we'll be supporting public safety initiatives, and the community won't have to worry. They'll be able to celebrate. All right, thank you.
Just to speak to the risk profile of the event itself, Acting Chief, could you maybe explain what VPD did respond to that day prior to the incident at the close of the festival? I understand it was two very kind of minor events.
What you're referring to is earlier on, some weeks ago, so in that district, we have 4 districts in the city. That's District 3. At any one time in any district, there's probably over 50 officers already deployed doing general patrol duties. So and when this incident occurred, this tragedy occurred, we were there within 90 seconds, 2 minutes, very quickly, because we had officers in those neighborhoods. And part of the daily duties outside of this event, they assisted in the area. And I believe there was a few incidents. One was helping, there was a lost child, and somebody had forgotten where they had parked their car, so our members assisted the person. So we were there. We're always there in every neighborhood, in every district.
Thanks. And so you've promised to deploy members if any organizer says they want a presence this summer. Do you have the staffing and the budget to do that?
What I'm saying is, if there's a community event where the organizers do not feel assured and have concerns, we will address it either through attendance, increased patrols, some sort of equipment. But our goal is to help the city get through this with confidence, and in this period of assurance, we're going to do everything we can to support the neighborhoods, family events, bringing the community together. So we'll be there.
Sorry, just to clarify, you are going to screen these requests. You're not just going to have a blanket deployment at any
That's right.
festival.
That's right. We'll screen them. We'll work with the organizers, as was mentioned earlier. Not everyone wants the police at their event, and we're going to respect that.
Going once? Going twice? Okay, that's a wrap today. If